Hi, it's Andy and John here again from Car Repairs Made Easy. Today we're working on a 2002 Ford Escape, and we're going to replace the front brake pads and rotors. Pretty simple job. Like always, we jack it up with jack stands. First thing you want to do is you want to decompress the piston or push the piston back into the caliper. Just get you a big screwdriver, wedge it in here. You want to get inside the lip of the rotor, so you don't do any damage anywhere. And you can just pry this out and push the piston back. As you can see how the rotor moves. We need to do that so that we have room to put the new pads in. We have this anti-rattle clip here. We're going to take this off first. Make sure you put this back on or the pads will rattle as you're driving down the road or hitting the brakes. And on the back side we have here and here we have two bolts. They are, what did we say this was? A T45 Torx. Looks like a star. And just take these loose by hand. It's tightening. And just spin these out. As you see, when we take these off, there really isn't a whole lot wrong with the pads, but we have some pretty good scoring in the rotors. So our customer decided that this is our slide pin. Oh great, it don't want to come off. There. Anyway, we have some scoring in the rotor, and it's a little too. We got another 45?
Yeah.
We have the scoring in the rotor. It's causing it to make some noise. Some scoring is normal, and probably by manufacturer specs, these scores would be considered normal. But what the customer wanted was they wanted them changed anyway, so we're going to change them. We measured them because of the wear already on the rotor. It comes out too thin, so they can't be resurfaced. So that's why they're getting new ones. We're going to change from semi-metallic pads, which is what can usually cause this, to ceramic pads, which will give you a little bit better stopping. They're better with transferring heat. Now what we do is pull this out. As you can see, the pad is still pretty thick, but we're changing them anyway. You can see the little marks there, hopefully. This pad out. That just pulls out of the caliper. We're going to set that up there for now. Now on the back of this bracket, which is what you need to remove to get the rotor off, it has two 18mm bolts. What you need for that is you need a long either breaker bar. Okay, we had a glitch with the camera, so that's why you'll see a break in the film. But we're taking these two 18mm bolts off here. We're just using our long 1/2-inch drive extension with an 18mm socket. Or you can use a breaker bar. You just need something long to break these loose because they're going to be pretty tight. And then we'll break the top one loose. Then once we get them loose with that, we're just going to use a shorter ratchet 3/8 drive with a 3/8 drive 18, which will make things easier. It's a lot easier to swing this one than the big one. Get these things out of here. There's one. Remember, this is a big chunk of steel, so you'll make sure you get a hold of it somehow, like with your thumb, like I'm doing here. Because when this bolt comes out, it's going to want to drop. And there's your caliper bracket. I'll just slide the old rotor off. You can see all the scoring in there. You get a shot of that?
Yeah, it looks like a record player.
Yep. Or actually looks like a record.
Oh yeah, a record, not a player.
All right, here's our new rotor. You see, nice and clean. The rotors will usually come packed, but a lot of times they'll come packaged in a plastic bag. and they'll have some slimy like oil or some kind of coating on them. That's to prevent them from rusting while they're on the shelf, because they are just metal. Make sure you clean that off with brake cleaner and a rag if you have one. Spray it down real good. You don't want to put it down with that stuff on there, then the brakes won't grab, they'll just slide. And we'll spin these on. We're going to go as far as we can just by hand so that it makes it quicker. A little bit less work. And snug these down with this one, and then once we get these tight with this, we'll use our long ratchet again, or breaker bar, and tighten them down real good. And then we'll just use this one to make sure they're nice and tight. Now the next step is to make sure this piston's pushed all the way in. So what we've done is we've already spread it in. We just use our big channel locks, or you could use a C-clamp and press it against one of the old pads. Just slowly squeeze this in the rest of the way. Our brake pads, there's the inner and the outer. This is the inner one with this, on this particular car, has these little clips. You just line these up and it just snaps in inside the piston. And that keeps that one in place. Then the outside one just sets on there. When you put your caliper back on, make sure you don't twist your brake hose. Once we get this positioned in here, push that back. That fits right in. And we just got to get our 2 bolts in here and tighten them down. Get this lined up right. Yeah, make sure you get both of them started before you tighten them down, because sometimes you have to move this around a little bit to get it to line up. Where did I do the other one? There it is. This one's still stuck on there. We'll get that off. Let's get that started. Tighten this up by hand. Only use the 3/8. Don't use the 1/2 inch on these.
Came out like butter.
All right. Okay, now that we've got our caliper, everything mounted in, we need to put our anti-rattle clip back in. And get around here so you get a good shot. There's 2 holes here in the front of the caliper. You just put these in here like this. You see how that wants to move? That keeps that from moving. Just push that in, and then you just gotta get this around. Somehow you need to get this in the hole and the other side on the underside of the bracket here. So you can either try to put it in the hole first, but it looks like getting it in the hole last is going to be the easy way, at least for the top. Just want to slide this down here. As you can see, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's got to be put on there. Alright, this one's fighting us. It's a real small hole, so you got to make sure it goes in all the way. We're going to try the bottom first. There we go. That was a lot easier that way. As you can see, that's in there. Now the caliper doesn't move, and it'll stay in place. So this side's done. We're just gonna spin this around. We're gonna go to the other side and do the driver's side. Then when we're done, we'll put both wheels on, pump the brake pedal, test drive it. Okay, now we're on the driver's side. Same procedure, just reversed. Retaining clip, 2 bolts at the back of the caliper. Ow. They're actually slide pins, but
make sure when you do brake components, don't use any impact tools. Always do them by hand. You don't want to stress crack something, tightening it back down, and then it come apart later while you're going down the road. That's dangerous.
Did it too. All right, we're going to double check that because that might even be a 47 because that seems like it's a little tight. So if it is, we'll make sure we note it in the tool list that it's a change, but 45 seems to fit. This is what I forgot to do. Decompress the piston. We'll just go a little bit there. We get the rest with the channel locks. Set this up here. We don't want to let it hang by the hose. You can just prop it up there like that. Or if you have bungee cord or something you can hang it from, you just keep the stress off of the hose itself.
Yeah, remember that those rubber hoses aren't made to hold the weight of that caliper, so always set it up somewhere, have it supported.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that was pretty tight. Thanks for the help. And then we have here, we have our 1 caliper bracket bolt. We don't like to give you too much silence, but I mean, we did kind of describe everything on the other side, so there's not a whole lot different to describe over here. And we don't use music in our background, so
Yeah, you know how like you're watching a video and it's got elevator music and you want to shoot yourself. We don't want to torch you like that. So we're just keeping it silent and just talking through it.
well, yeah, you're here to. This is not. I mean, this is for learning, so that doesn't seem appropriate to me. Yep. Try to get this thing started. Oh, one thing you can do, if you have open-ended lug nuts like that one, you'll see completely through. There's our other parts. You could use those and spin them all the way on the lug stud so that you can hold the rotor in place. I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down
We'll be right
while
back.
John grabs our other parts.
Okay, go.
All right, now that our parts delivery's out of the way, I got the 2 caliper bracket bolts tightened down nice and snug. We're going to compress this piston in the rest of the way, which won't go in too much more. Just do it nice and slow. You don't want to do it too fast, because if you do it too fast, you might roll a seal or cause a leak in here. That's out of the way. When you
Nice and easy, like butter.
Our brake pads, we'll go ahead and set this one up here. See, the notch fits on that one. And this one, of course, the tabs go into the piston. And we can just take this, push our bolt back out. That just... Now you want to fight, huh? That should be lined up. guess it won't work if there's a bolt already in there, huh?
Generally, it doesn't.
All right, here's what. Get in here so I can see. That's better. I'm gonna start the other one first to get a little more stable. Can't tell if that's going in. Yep.
Looks like it is. Also on these caliper bolts, when we were talking about putting them in by hand, from us being in the industry over 30 years combined, we've seen people even just run them in with an impact, and then you cross thread the bracket and the bolt, and now you're buying more parts. So always do stuff by hand, start bolts by hand, and you won't have that issue.
Actually, a good idea would be a 3-inch extension, give you more room to get behind this hose. That'll make your job a little bit easier.
Put that in the tool list.
Yeah. That's out. And even though we have the bolt in, it still wiggles. That's from that clip in the front. And you'll see that's stable. Once we put that in.
Plus the piston's not out against the pad, so
Right.
it's not going to hold it too well.
Yeah, this moves quite a bit without that retainer in there. Let's see, on the other side we started at the bottom. Right there. And then we can pull that over. There we go. Now you can see that's nice and secure. Alright, and that's it. That's how we replace front brake pads on a 2002 Ford Escape. Well, actually brake pads and rotors. All we have to do now is we're going to put the wheels on it. We'll pump up the brake pedal so we have a firm pedal. We'll take it out and test drive it, seat the brakes in, return to the customer. Again, this is John and Andy at Car Repairs Made Easy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.